why don't we talk about some of the material? Actually, before we do that, I don't know if this is actually in the course or not, but I wanted to ask you this on our last interview. You mentioned, I want to say like soul foods roots to slavery. And when I think of like nutrition and Black food culture, I think of a Potlikker.
Yes.
Do you talk about Potlikker at all? And if not, can we have a little discussion about it? Can you, Asia, can you teach us about it if you have any insight on that?
Absolutely. So Potlikker. So let's talk about, first of all, how much Americans hate cooking their greens properly. So
come on.
There's this phobia of well-cooked food that results in malnutrition and the elite class. So it's this fascinating thing. So let's talk about Potlikker, but let's also expand the conversation to Western European cuisine, right? Where we have pot herbs. So most indigenous traditional people cooked their greens for a long time, especially Europeans, where most of the brassicas originated from, right? And so we see cabbage soup being cooked for a long time. We see collards being cooked for a long time, kale being cooked for a long time. Why is that? It's because that's what it takes, honey. You have to break down those plant cell walls so that plant-based food becomes digestible by humans. And not only that, there's this concern that we're losing nutrition. Excuse me. Fat-soluble nutrients, especially vitamin A, are enhanced by cooking, which is why Italian cuisine features tomato sauce, right? All the tomato-based things are often well cooked because that activates the lycopene in the tomatoes and the other vitamin A's. So the other question is, well, what happens to the rest of the vitamins? And we have to remember that energy is neither lost nor destroyed. And so the B vitamins actually move into the liquid, right? So lots of the vitamins that move out of the nutrients, the constituents in the plants, the collards, the kale, moves into that broth. And that's why the most brilliant cultures drink broth, especially if it has a bone in it. But that's another conversation. So after that broth is created, right, and it's simmered down, it's concentrated. So what you have is a medicinal drink, right? And Black folks often would use the cornbread very much like fufu to like soak up the Potlikker, right? Because you don't want to toss that out. But other cultures have also figured out ways to work with that liquid. And so often that Potlikker was just turned into a gravy and put on the rice. And to understand like why gravies are so important to cuisine, it's because our ancestors didn't have a lot of water to work with, right? And so they had to reuse it. But B, eating dried foods are hard to digest. Right? And so putting that gravy on top not only reserves the nutrition that came from cooking the greens, but it also makes the food even more digestible. And so Potlikker is actually a part of an entire process that is present in soul food, but it's also present in European cuisine as well. And it's about understanding where the nutrients are flowing and going, and how I'm a permaculturist, right? So how to make sure that we're not wasting nutrition.
I love that. Yeah, I was just at a restaurant in Seattle called Fats Fried Chicken and Waffles, and I was sure to order the collard greens, and I drank all that Potlikker up afterwards, and it was absolutely delicious. And yeah, you could tell that they cooked it thoroughly. And yeah, I take lessons from that too, and I try to do the same in my household as well. Did you have any input, Karina?
No, I'm just vibing. I mean, I love when Asia cooks for me, and it just reminds me of when we were in North Carolina, just on a retreat, when Asia was like, you know what, I think I need to write a book kind of thing. And the food that we made together, but she made some greens. She made some gravy with that Potlikker. So yeah, as she was describing that, I was thinking about that time. So yeah, I'm just here to get the nutrients, you know.
Amen.